Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my first video, so hope you all enjoy it. And in my first video, I'm going to tell you my Stanley Cup playoff predictions. Who's going to win and how many games. I'm going to start West-East, so here we go. The Winnipeg Jets versus the St. Louis Blues. St. Louis is not a team to take lightly. No team should. Don't matter if they lose to Winnipeg in the first round or go on to win the Stanley Cup. No team should take St. Louis lightly. Even though they have the second wild card, they've been the hottest team since the Four Nations break. And they're going to play Winnipeg to the limit, but it's not going to be enough. Give me the Winnipeg Jets in 6 games. And then the Western Conference match everyone wanted. The Dallas Stars versus the Colorado Avalanche. The narrative, the headlines, storylines, everything screamed Stanley Cup final or WrestleMania match, but this is the first round. And that's what makes the Stanley Cup playoffs so much fun. And I didn't realize that Dallas had lost their last 7 up until I made my bracket. And Colorado's going to take this series in 7 games. They're going to get their revenge on Mikko Rantanen. Ultimately, between now and game 2, one of the veterans is going to have that wake up call speech and say, "We are better than this." And Dallas is going to play good, but not good enough. And then we go on to the Pacific corner of the bracket. We got the Vegas Golden Knights and the Minnesota Wild. Getting Kaprizov and Eriksson back right before the playoffs is a huge boost of confidence and morale builder for Minnesota. But ultimately, it's not going to be enough. Vegas is going to take this series in 6, but these are all going to be 1 or 2 goal games. And now for the 4th year in a row, we got the Los Angeles Kings versus the Edmonton Oilers. Yes, LA has the home ice advantage this year for the first time, but I don't think it's going to be enough to get past McDavid and Draisaitl in Edmonton. Yeah, I know Edmonton is shorthanded, but I'm not betting against McDavid and Draisaitl, who have had the Kings' number the last 3 years, and it's going to continue. But this is going to be a 7 game series. And now we move on to the East. The Eastern Conference final matchup everyone wanted. The Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Ottawa Senators. These teams hate each other. This is going to be a bloodbath, but Toronto is going to get it done in 6 games. Ottawa has a nice blend of veteran leadership with experience and young, hungry guys that is really going to go well for them this offseason to help build this roster. But I think this is going to be the learning experience year for Ottawa, and they are going to take Toronto to their limits. And for the 4th time in 5 years, we have the Battle of Florida. The Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Florida Panthers. A lot of people are taking Tampa in the series, and I totally get it, but I'm not going to bet against the Panthers this year. I'm going to take the Florida Panthers in 6 games. This is going to be a bloodbath and a tight knit series, but I think Florida's going to get it done. I almost said 7 games, but I think they can get it done in 6. Now we move on to the Metropolitan Division corner. We have the Washington Capitals versus the Montreal Canadiens. Both teams weren't playing their best going down the last few games of the season, but in Washington's case, they were just resting their big guns while Montreal nearly blew it. So, that being said, a well rested Washington team is going to get the job done over the young Canadiens team in 6 games. Montreal is a lot like Ottawa, young with veterans, and this is going to be their learning experience here. The future is so bright in Montreal. This is the start of something huge for them. Their next championship core, and the puck is literally in Montreal's corner this offseason. So get the job done. And now we have what is on paper the most lopsided match of the playoffs. We got the Carolina Hurricanes and the New Jersey Devils. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. New Jersey has literally been treading water since Jack Hughes' season ended. And I think they will steal 1 game from Carolina, but Carolina's going to get the job done in 5 games. It's not going to be close. And now we move on to the second round. We got the Winnipeg Jets versus the Colorado Avalanche, the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Edmonton Oilers. the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Florida Panthers, and the Washington Capitals versus the Carolina Hurricanes. So we're going to start in the West again. The Winnipeg Jets versus Colorado Avalanche. The best forward this year versus the best goalie. Mwah. This is going to be such a fun series, such a tight series. But ultimately, I got Colorado winning in 7. It's going to be just like Four Nations. McKinnon triumphs over Hellebuck. This will literally probably come down to Game 7 in overtime if this is your matchup. And now we got the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Edmonton Oilers. Man, this is going to be a good series. All these series, with one exception, will be good series, but this one is probably one of, if not the most star-studded matchups of the playoffs, if it happens. But Vegas has been quiet this year. Too quiet. And they're going to beat Edmonton in 6. They have the star power to get it done. And no, LTIR, they've had the season to build the chemistry. And Vegas is going to get the job done. Now we move on to the East. The Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the Florida Panthers. Ooh, this is going to be a bloodbath. Probably one of the biggest bloodbaths of them all. These two teams are playoff built. But ultimately, I think Tampa taking Florida to their limits is going to show in the series. It will go the full 7, but I got Toronto winning in 7 games. Brad Treliving built a playoff roster, and it's been showing, and it will show. And now we have the Washington Capitals versus the Carolina Hurricanes. Washington still has some of the big pieces from their last big core, but Carolina, they've kept that core pretty much intact since Washington was a contender. And Washington has that blend of youth and veteranosity, but I think Carolina's going to get the job done in 6 games. And they're going to go on to the conference final again. So now for your conference finals, I have the Colorado Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights, and the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Carolina Hurricanes. So we're going to start with Colorado and Vegas. This is going to be a really tight, hard-fought series. High-octane offense, entertainment to the fullest, and I got Colorado winning in 6. Colorado has all the pieces to win the Stanley Cup, and they're going to get it done. And now, on to the East, we have the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Carolina Hurricanes. This series should favor Carolina on paper, considering they have the conference final experience, whereas Toronto's only made it out of the first round once, but Toronto has as many wins in conference finals over the last 10 years as Carolina does, which is 0. And, like I said before, Brad Treliving built a playoff roster, and it will show. I do think Carolina will win a game in the conference finals for once, but Toronto's going to win more, as I got the Toronto Maple Leafs winning in 6 games. So your Stanley Cup final matchup is the Colorado Avalanche versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. This will be the series of all series. When I watched the Leafs and Avalanche game that was in Colorado, that screamed to me Stanley Cup final preview. That game was so much fun to watch. Because even when a team got an advantage, the other would come right back and quiet them down. Because Toronto went down 2-0 to Colorado, and then Toronto tied it right back up. And even Toronto took the lead, and then Colorado took the lead right back, and then Toronto tied it up, and then Colorado just went from there. That game was so much fun to watch. And if we get this, this will probably be one of, if not the best Stanley Cup finals we've had in a long time. But ultimately, I got the Colorado Avalanche winning in 6 games. They have the Cup final experience. They have the championship pedigree. And Nathan MacKinnon, for the last 2 seasons, has been a man possessed. He's been a man on a mission to get the job done. And I think Colorado's going to get the job done in 6 games, like I said. And Nathan McKinnon's going to win the Conn Smythe. There is no stopping that man. Yeah, I know. A lot of people are going to clown on me for my Toronto prediction. It's either going to age like wine or milk. There's no in between. I don't feel 100% about my Toronto pick, but I think this is a year something happens in a good way, especially with Marner and Tavares in contract years. That's going to put a little more like motivation for them, or it could be a bigger chip on their shoulder to get something done. But ultimately, I think Toronto's destined. They're due for a deep run. So, yeah, those are my predictions. Let me know what you think in the comments below, whether you agree or disagree. And feel free to come back in a couple weeks and laugh at me for picking Toronto to win the conference final. All right? Enjoy the playoffs. I know I sure will.